Now, we've talked a lot about HAZOP lately, and so I thought it'd be really good to share with you some tips on how you can check whether the output from your HAZOP is a good quality, right? So that's both checking whether the quality from your workshop was good, but also the quality of what your facilitator delivers is good. Okay, so I'm going to share with you in the link below and on LinkedIn a sheet that you can use to check your HAZOP action quality, or your HAZOP report quality, and this will give you an idea of how your facilitator is performing. Now, if the facilitator doesn't meet all of these requirements, just have a chat with them, give them a second chance. If they don't meet on the second chance, I suggest you getting a new one. All right, so making sure that you give them the expectations before they do the workshop, but there is no harm in checking your existing workshops which were done before you knew that these criteria was there. So there's a few different parts, right? One is that the recording of the workshop itself is good, right? So as I mentioned before, we need to be looking at all the different categories for HAZOP actions, for HAZOP consequences. For example, environment, people, asset, and offsite or reputation. And then we also need to make sure that it's clear, so it's easy to understand afterwards. So the recording of the cause and the consequence is comprehensive enough to understand if you haven't attended the meeting. Were the recommendations recorded in a way which are easy to understand if you haven't attended the meeting? Often recommendations are seen without any context from the workshop, so make sure that they are standalone and can be understood. Your report structure, I'll give you a few different tips on that, but it should include an executive summary, and this should include some feedback from your facilitator. So, did everybody participate? Were there some characters which were a bit stronger, which were maybe making other voices in the room not so good? Did, in your facilitator's opinion, given that they visit various sites, was the team's competence good? Right? Were people on time? Was there anything else that could impact the quality of your HAZOP? This should be in the executive summary or in another section called feedback from chair. Make sure you have that section because it's really important. You go back to the chair and you say, oh, well, this is a problem, that is a problem. And then they say, oh, yes, but this was a problem, that was a problem. If it's not in the report, you didn't know about it and you can't fix it. Okay, so make sure you get that section in your report. And then finally, having the actions in a really clear way and having a little summary of what types of actions were found and where the biggest risks are in terms of the understanding of the facilitator. Those things can really help the report being easy to use. The reason I like this sort of summary of what we examined, what was the result, so that kind of executive summary, is because if you're in a project and you're trying to compile all of this information into a safety case, you're going to have to reread all of these reports again to understand what the gist of it is. If you have the summary at the beginning, you can copy and paste that and maybe edit it a little bit to make it appropriate for your report. So this is just trying to make your life easier. So I really hope you enjoy the tips and give me any feedback on what you think I could have included. Okay, look forward to seeing you next time.